everybody, I'm Mr. Caleb.
And I'm Mr. Andrew.
And this is
An Epic Story.
Today, we are looking at the life of Joseph. Joseph's story is one of sibling rivalry, betrayal, and a bad day turned worse.
Oof.
Joseph's dad was named Jacob. Jacob had a lot of sons, which meant Joseph had a lot of brothers. 11 brothers in all.
Just like Snow White.
There were only 7, and those guys aren't even real.
Not real. Happy, hungry, grumpy, sleepy, sneezy, wheezy, dopey, mopey, bashful, awful, and Daryl.
Sure thing, Andrew. The Bible says Joseph was his father's favorite because they had a special bond.
Kinda like this.
Andrew, what are you doing?
We're having a bonding moment, Caleb.
That's not what I meant. Can you please take this off?
Of course I can. I just gotta figure out where I put those keys. Hey Siri, how do you get out of handcuffs?
How to
Let me unlock my phone.
No, Andrew, stop, Andrew!
Well, that went really well. Oh, just kidding.
Well, now that we survived that ordeal, Joseph was the favorite and everyone knew it. One day, Jacob gave Joseph a special robe, a beautiful coat. They called it the coat of many colors.
Please tell me there was at least a hint of chartreuse.
Spell chartreuse.
CJ7L?
God spoke to Joseph through his dreams, and Joseph was able to interpret what God was saying to him. Joseph had 2 dreams about himself and his brothers. In the first dream, they were tying bundles of grain, but suddenly his bundle stood up in the middle and his brother's bundle gathered around him and bowed.
That's a really weird dream, Caleb.
I know.
I've had some weird dreams myself.
Oh no.
One time, I had a dream that I wanted to be smarter.
Okay.
So I thought really hard, and my brain came out of my ears like ramen noodles and landed into a bowl. I then proceeded to eat these ramen brain noodles and got smarter because of it.
Why?
I don't know, Caleb, but I've always wondered what that meant.
I have some ideas, but we won't get into that now.
Okay.
In the second dream, Joseph was in the sky, and the sun, moon, and 11 stars started to do just as the bundles of grain had done. They all started to bow low before him.
Those are some weird dreams.
After hearing what Joseph had to say, his brothers were not very excited. They were actually so upset that they decided to kill Joseph.
With kindness.
What?
Yeah, like figuratively with laughter.
No. They wanted Joseph gone. Done. Dead.
No, Caleb. These right here, these are children.
I know, but that's just what the Bible says. Just stay with me to see what happens. Some of the brothers decided to get rid of Joseph. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams, they said.
Oh! There was one time I had a crazy dream.
Stop, Andrew! When Joseph finally caught up to them, they tore his beautiful coat and threw him in the pit.
And that's why they call them armpits, because they stink.
Good one. They decided to tell their father Jacob that a wild animal attacked Joseph and he died. So there was Joseph. His brothers had made fun of him, took his coat, and threw him in a pit to die. But you will be happy to know that Joseph didn't stay in the pit.
Because he escaped! I bet he used his dandy grappling hook. Looks like...
Andrew, people don't just carry around a...
Like this? I never leave home without it. Just like Batman.
That's just weird.
You're weird! Sorry.
That's not what happened. Instead of killing Joseph, some of the brothers decided to sell him to the slave traders in a caravan and make some money. The slave traders brought Joseph to Egypt, where he was sold to a man by the name of Potiphar.
Yes, the son of Potiphar. I'm familiar.
No, that's not a thing. Potiphar was a pretty big deal in Egypt.
Oh, so like bigger than this spaceship that I made of Legos that I worked hours and hours and hours on, like that?
Yes.
Oh, that's...
Joseph started out doing the worst jobs, but soon, because he was such a hard worker, Potiphar eventually put Joseph in charge of everything he had.
I can't do this.
God was with Joseph and had a good plan for him, so he succeeded in everything he did, and Potiphar's house was blessed. Even though Joseph was still a slave, things were starting to look up. That is, until Potiphar's wife tried to get Joseph to do things that were wrong.
Gasp!
Joseph always did the right thing, so he refused. This made Potiphar's wife mad at Joseph. So mad that she came up with a plan to get rid of him. Potiphar's wife lied to her husband, presented fake evidence, and accused him of doing the wrong things. This was a big deal.
Yes, a big deal. As big as a reconstructed super cool spaceship?
Actually, yes. This made Potiphar so mad.
Like how mad, Caleb? Like super mad? Like if someone had destroyed something you spent tons and tons of time on? Huh? And effort? Think of the effort I put into building that. Like that? Huh?
Exactly. So Potiphar had Joseph thrown in jail.
Oh, man. Well, guess what? You do the crime. You do the time.
What do you have, Andrew?
This is super strong packing tape. I'm just gonna end up taping my Lego back together. No big deal, but I don't understand. See, Joseph didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
But now he's in jail? This just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Right, it doesn't. But Joseph's story was not over. God had a purpose and a plan for his life that was bigger than anything he could possibly imagine.
Yes, bigger than this reconstructed super cool spaceship that is artfully reinforced by extra strength clear packing tape.
Yes.
Like that?
Even bigger than that oddly specific example. How did you...
Imagination.
Even in jail, God was with Joseph. Because of God's favor, Joseph was eventually put in charge of all the prisoners and helped run the prison for the warden. He was even allowed to move around the prison however he wanted.
Oh, my mom says I can move out whenever I want.
That's cool.
She loves me so much, though, I know she wants me to live with her and Dad forever.
Now, the palace cupbearer and chief baker had been put in prison. One night, each of them had a dream that really worried them. The next day, Joseph could tell something was bothering them. Joseph asked them what was wrong, and they told him that they had both had dreams they didn't understand.
Oh, here we go. More people trying to share their weird dreams about noodle brains.
Joseph explained to them that God had gifted him with the ability to understand dreams, so he offered to try and help them understand their dreams. Joseph asked God to help him, and God told Joseph what the dreams meant.
Oh, sorry, continue.
In the cupbearer's dream, there were 3 grapevines, growing grapes. The grapes were being squeezed into the Pharaoh's cup. Joseph said that this meant in 3 days, the cupbearer would go back to the palace and return to his job as the cupbearer. Now, in the baker's dream, there were 3 baskets of Pharaoh's favorite pastries stacked on his head, and then birds came and ate them all.
Oh, I bet that meant that he had the best Pop-Tarts. The baker's Pop-Tarts were probably the most delicious in the world. I bet that the Pharaoh liked him the best.
Not exactly. Joseph told the baker this meant that in 3 days, Pharaoh was going to have him killed.
Okay.
3 days. 3 days later, the cupbearer got to go back to his job at the palace, and well, let's just say that baker made his last loaf of bread.
Because it's gluten-free now!
No, I meant he's sleeping with the fishes.
Like a salmon! Woo!
Ow. I was just trying to nicely say that he died.
Caleb, what are you doing? There are kids listening to this.
It's what the Bible says. Now, before the cupbearer left the prison, Joseph told him all about his situation. The cupbearer promised to tell the Pharaoh all about what happened to Joseph, but he forgot.
Joseph was probably furious and decided that he was always going to be in that prison. So he probably picked up a hobby like knitting.
Actually, no. See, 2 years later, something happened. The Pharaoh began to have strange dreams that really bothered him.
I've had some strange dreams myself.
Andrew, we know, but this is about Pharaoh's dream.
Did he dream about noodle brains too?
Not exactly. Pharaoh dreamed that 7 fattened cows were down by the Nile River and started to graze. Then 7 skinny cows wandered over to the fat cows and swallowed them up.
What? Okay, now that doesn't make any sense. I feel like we shouldn't care about the cow's weight. That's actually kind of rude.
Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and dreamed a second dream.
Oh, yes, Like the cows weren't weird enough.
In the second dream, 7 bundles of large healthy grain grew, but then 7 unhealthy. Withered bundles of grain grew and swallowed the 7 healthy grains. Pharaoh was really concerned by the dreams, and he called some of his attendants and advisors together the next day to talk about them. None of them knew what the dreams meant.
Shocker.
The cupbearer was there and suddenly remembered.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I promised I would tell Pharaoh about him. And now is your chance to finally do the right thing.
He told Pharaoh that when he and the chief baker were in prison, they met a Hebrew man named Joseph. They both had dreams that Joseph was able to interpret correctly. Pharaoh immediately sent for Joseph and had him brought from the prison. Joseph told Pharaoh humbly, "It's not me who has the power to do what you're asking, but God. He can tell you what your dreams mean."
One time I had a weird dream.
No, Andrew! Joseph answered, "Both your dreams mean the same thing. First, you'll have 7 years of prosperity in Egypt and an overabundance of blessing.
That is amazing news.
Followed by 7 years of famine."
All right, what does famine mean? Is it even better than prosperity?
Not exactly. Famine means no food.
Yikes.
Joseph continued, "Famine will be so bad that no one will even remember how good it had been for 7 years before. But God has given you the knowledge before it does so you can prepare." Joseph explained that he should find a man wise enough to be put in charge of all of Egypt, then collect a portion of the food during the years of prosperity and set them aside so that when the famine hits, everyone will still have enough food.
That's right. See, exactly my point. You need to stock up.
We need to talk about this later. Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of all of Egypt. Those 7 years produced so much grain they eventually couldn't count it all and stored all they could for the years of famine coming. When the famine finally hit, Egypt had plenty of food. They passed out food from what they saved to make sure no one starved.
Ah, like ramen noodles.
Ew, gross. No, Andrew. Because of Joseph's plan, people came from all over Egypt and the surrounding area to get portions of grain to take home. And one day, some people showed up to get some food that took Joseph by surprise.
Was it a candygram?
No.
Clowns.
No, it was his brothers.
His brothers were clowns?
No, like his actual brothers. There, Joseph was face to face with the people who hurt him and abandoned him. Joseph was so powerful, he could have gotten them back.
Yeah, and he put them all in handcuffs.
No, Andrew. Not again. Joseph gave them a test.
Oh, I bet they were in trouble now. I bet they lied.
Actually, they told him the truth.
What?
They told Joseph that they had a brother a long time ago that they treated poorly and who they missed. They were sorry for all that they had done.
Oh, just sorry? Sorry for the pit and for the slavery and the jail. I mean, these are really uncomfortable. Why did you put them so tight?
I didn't. You did. But yes, they are. They had changed. Joseph was filled with compassion and couldn't keep it a secret who he really was anymore. His brothers were so happy to see him until they realized what Joseph could do to them since he had so much power and then became afraid. They thought Joseph might get even with them.
Oh, yeah, time for a tour of the royal pits or even the royal prison.
But Joseph didn't. He actually forgave them.
Okay, that's kookamajumbo crazy.
Not only that, but he brought his family to Egypt. Even his dad, who was very old by now. God really did have big plans for Joseph.
Oh, really? Even bigger than this giant inflatable pizza?
Everything. Bigger than everything.
Okay, let's...
Okay. God was with Joseph and used his situation to help others. Genesis 50:20 tells us that God's plan was so big that he used Joseph to save the lives of so many people. Joseph told his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, for the saving of many lives."
That's right.
And that's
an epic story! Oh, look, the keys.
Why are we still handcuffed? Andrew!